Hey guys, this is Rachel. Just want to welcome you guys back to my channel and say thanks if you guys are tuning in with me today. I just wanted to come out and take a break. I am finally getting back to finishing off that craft room deep dive, I guess we could call it, that I had started. Now I need to come back in and finish it. So this will be like deep dive part 2. And I thought, let's just make a fun little card. And while I was at it, I thought, why not just have a little extra something along with the video? So I'm gonna randomly start putting out little videos where I give out little tidbits of trivia about Michigan and the Great Lakes. Stuff, a lot of the stuff I've been finding out I didn't even know. And, having lived here my whole life, I find that very sad. So I figured we could just call it like crafting with a side of trivia. I suppose that'd be a good title. And just a quick recap of what I'm going to be doing today. I just pulled in some odds and ends of things that I had near me in the craft area. I did pretty good for resetting up the craft desk and making sure I have room to stop when I need to take a break and do some crafting. Doesn't necessarily mean I'll be filming, but it's nice to have that crafting space. That's one of the mistakes I think I've made in the past, is not leaving myself that opening when you just need to take a break. You can't think of how to sort this and you can't think of where to put that, and you just need a moment. So this time I thought ahead and made sure I ended up with a good craft space to work in. I'll probably do a quick craft room reboot. I don't even want to call it a tour because that's not what it is. I've already done that. It would be silly to kind of repeat that, but I can give a quick rundown on the updates of what I've done and a little bit of the thinking behind it, particularly if some of you are like me and have space issues. And one of the things I'm trying to target is eliminating the ability to have cubby holes to buy more stuff and shove it in. So if I don't have a lot of space to put stuff, then that means it keeps me on track with not overspending. So anyway, again, I'll get into that a little bit later. So I'm just using one of my friend Dawn's papers from her June collection, and I've been wanting to get back to make like a grunge-style card. And the only things that I have right nearby of her stuff is I've got some of the sentiments, was something I forgot to mention in the breakdown of the June release. She has a whole ton of sentiments available in her shop. You can still shop at her Etsy site, but she does have an official website shop. It's called www.shinysilvertreasures.com. So she has a ton of foiled sentiments now, in addition to some other items that she's had in the past. And I meant to show it when I was showcasing the papers and I totally forgot, so I apologize for that. This is one of the ones that I had nearby that I thought would work really nicely with working with this paper. Grunge can go with a masculine tone and it can go with a feminine tone, so I'm not entirely sure which direction I'm going in, but I'm leaving my options open. And I thought this script, and it's the gold foiling. I'm not sure how much you can see on the camera. Yeah, you can get a little bit of it there when I hold it directly under the light. But I thought with the chunky, bold type, that would be perfect. That can go either way as well. So if you have not checked out her online stores, either one, you're going to find a ton of great stuff. Please go do so. And I'll have all the links and stuff for her shops in the description below. I am part of her design team. This is kind of a design team project, but not exactly, but that's okay. I'll put all the information down there below in any case. So these are really handy. They're the white with the foiling on them. There's rose gold, copper, silver, and then the regular gold at this time. So always keep an eye on her site because things come up. She's adding new stuff fairly regularly. So that's what I'm going to be using here. I just put a couple of quick card bases together. I've got some rub-on transfers that I thought might work all right. Again, depending, it doesn't matter which one. It could be more feminine, it could be more masculine. It'll work both ways. So I will go ahead and I'm gonna actually take that out of the plastic. Let me do that really quickly because I try not to make a lot of noise with that plastic. All right, first things first, I think what I want to do, move the little bits I pulled out that I thought might be fun to use as well, and cut the panels down. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start and start cutting down some random sized panels and see what flips my switch. But in the meantime, while I am doing this, I'm going to throw out the first piece of what may not be well-known trivia about the Great Lakes. Did you know that approximately 425 million years ago, yeah, that's a long time ago, that the Great Lakes were actually a sea, and the entire Great Lakes region was located just south of the equator. So that means at that time, the Great Lakes region was an inland sea, and it was tropical like the Bahamas, or I think the other reference they referred it to, it was similar to Brazil. So I would like to know, as a Michigan resident, how did we get gypped on staying down in the southern warmer climes? How is it that we got shoved up into snow and polar vortexes and having to shovel every year? I think we need to have a chat with nature, because this was not okay. That's okay. No, I don't mind the cold. I'm mostly being funny. You know, it would be nice to have some tropical weather, especially when those polar vortexes are going on and you've had to shovel for like the third time in a month. I know the weather is demented now all around the world, but we still get enough of them snow days and shoveling days to really wish we could have kept some of that prehistoric tropical weather. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I had no idea that we at one time were like a tropical island of sorts. So that was very fun. So then that led to the next thing that I found out, and I am still just cutting out some random panels. I'm not sure if I'm going to tear any paper, but trying to give myself some different sizes to work with here in terms of the paper, you know, the setting up the background. So in any case, so since the Great Lakes region was a tropical area, and this was during what's called the what is the word? The Silurian time. Petoskey stones started forming. And what the Petoskey stone is, which is our state stone here in Michigan, those are actually pieces of fossilized coral. Because if you look at the pattern, and then if you were to look at a piece of live coral that is out there in the oceans, like the Great Barrier Reef and things like that, you can see the pattern matches the shape of the coral, where it has they look like little cells. So, because I always wondered what was made out of it, and then the more you look at it, I'm like, this looks like coral. You know, the shape of the pattern on it looked like coral, and I was happy to find out that that's exactly what that was. So Petoskey stones are actually fossilized bits of coral. And what happened when the ice sheets would grow, they'd come down, they'd recede, they'd come down when the Great Lakes are finally roughly in this area, is they would shave off the pieces of the Petoskey stone, and that's where it started spreading it. I think the heaviest concentration is in the upper northwest of the lower peninsula, because the sheets, I believe, came down, like if you're looking down from Canada and then Michigan's down here, when the sheets came down, they shoved down this way, then they receded back up. So if this is Michigan, right, that basic shape, then up here is the northwest corner of the lower peninsula, and so they would just shear off big chunks of the fossilized coral at that point, and then after being ground around through the sediment and the ice sheets and all of that, a lot of them became smooth. Plus those that ended up in what is now the lakes, the water of course erodes and acts like a giant stone tumbler, and you're able to find the stones. I don't think I've ever found one directly, but they sell them all over the place, especially up in like the Traverse City area, Traverse Bay, Sleeping Bear Dunes, places like that, you know, where that stone is more prevalent to find. So anyway, so that's a fun little bit of trivia that I didn't know, but it explains the markings now on the Petoskey stones of why, you know, why they look like that. Okay, so I'm going to start figuring out how do I want to do a background. And I'm only planning on doing one, so do I want to go with my standard template, or do I want to do like a let me see. You know what? Let me set that aside while I ponder it. And I'm going to use some of these. Actually, first thing, let me do this. I'm starting to learn quick tips every now and then, because sometimes I forget to do the edging with the ink. I forget to do that before I start laying stuff down, and then sometimes it's hard to go back and fill it in. So I'm just going to go around and edge this. I'm using Vintage Photo in the oxide. So let's see, what do I want to use? I don't think I want to cut it like in a straight line. I think I like this section, so what I'm going to do is cut that out. Yeah, it's really been amazing. And some of the other information about the Great Lakes, there was a documentary video. I'll see if I can put that down in the link too in case you're interested. Scientists really wanted to sit down and figure out how did the Great Lakes form to begin with, like what was occurring events on their journey from south of the equator, and then once they got up here, how exactly were all these Great Lakes formed, because I think they are the largest, or one of the largest fresh water bodies of lakes in the world. And so of course there's a lot of curiosity, I would imagine, in the science community of how did that happen. So the interesting fact that starting in the tropical days of, you know, the Great Lakes youth, there's a basin. If you look up a map of the Great Lakes, it may pop up there. It basically looks like a bowl. If you go, it's only around Michigan, Huron, and Erie are part of this bowl. And what happens was, with all the journey up from the southern climes, the sea would empty, it would refill, it would empty, and it would refill. So of course seawater is salty, so all that water would collect, and then over the years, interacting with the stone at the bottom of the sea, it made like a super, super hard crust. And I cannot remember what that's called. I meant to write it down in my little cheat sheet to kind of keep straight with the facts, but I forgot to do that. But again, if you're interested in that video link, I'll add it to the description along with my friend Dawn's information. So now that is really, really, really hard stone, so it formed this massive crust at the bottom of these lakes, which sparks the other reason. With all that salt water, that is where all the salt collected from over the centuries and the decades and the millennia, basically. So there's this huge salt mine under the Great Lakes that has basically been protected because of this super thick and sturdy crust. Like, it's virtually impenetrable. I think the only thing that has the capabilities of wearing it down is the parts of the crust that's getting eroded in Niagara Falls, because that's like on the edge of this basic bowl, if you will. And that's about the only thing that's had the power to erode that hard stone, because it started out as lime, but the whole process of what happened over the evolution, through time, is it sort of turned that limestone into something else. So if you were to pour acid on regular limestone, it would start eating the limestone because it's a softer stone. But the stuff that got converted, that's what's underneath these three Great Lakes, it's like you're just pouring water on it. It just runs off. There's no reaction to it whatsoever. So all kinds of fascinating stuff. So there's basically upwards of 1 trillion tons, I think they said, of salt in the salt mines under the Great Lakes. So I think we're like the number 10 resource for salt in the world, or at least in the US for sure. We definitely have the biggest salt mine. So that also was really interesting, because the scientists couldn't figure, how did it remain undisturbed? Because the whole reason they found the salt to begin with is somebody went in to try to drill for oil, and they came across the salt, and then that was the end of it. Then now we became known for the salt mine, which of course that's probably not the bad thing, because no offense to the oil companies, but salt don't spill the way oil does. It can't pump itself up or erupt or overflow out of the earth if it's not carried up. Whereas you can get oil leaks, something can go wrong with the things that are pulling it up out of the earth. But anyway, I'm not trying to make this, whole eco soapbox. We wouldn't have time for that anyway. So that's where also the salt mines under the Great Lakes came from, was all the years and the decades of the seas filling and emptying and filling and emptying, and then you have all that residual salt down there, and then of course the transition of the limestone into something else to protect it and keep it from getting disturbed or flushed away or whatever, goes on in the evolution of the earth itself. So I thought that was also really cool. I mean, that is a massive, massive salt mine to have upwards of 1 trillion tons of it or whatever. Oh my gosh. So we will not be running out of salt anytime soon, because that's what they use in the table salts and all the salts that we use in different products and all that. Especially, of course, here around the Great Lakes area. That's probably where they get all the salt to make these products. So, yeah, I thought that was really, really cool to see that. So, and we'll be fortunate enough. They guesstimate that with the speed of the erosion on Niagara Falls, for that barrier that's separating, I believe it's Erie. I believe Huron flows down into Erie. Erie flows into Ontario, if I'm remembering the flow correctly. So that gap between Erie and Ontario, there's probably, they said 21,000 years, give or take, until that barrier will erode and then they'll merge. And then, then at that point we might have to worry about the bathtub draining. But, I don't think that's going to be in any of our lifetimes. So that is a huge relief. But it makes for a very fun fact, I think. So I got a kick out of seeing that in that video. So it's just, it's so funny, all the things that you can find in this place where you've lived your whole life. And you're like, how did I not know this? How did I not know that? So I'm trying to re-educate myself about, my own home state. Because I think it's important, to know the area that you live in and all the rich history that each place has. And, the length of it, I mean, obviously the U.S. isn't as old as Europe and a lot of the countries overseas. And, and that's okay. It still doesn't mean we don't have some kind of a rich history, right? Even if it's not that old. So learning about that, it used to be a great reef here and used to be tropical because it was way down south and all of that. That is just so fascinating, and it is so fun to learn all that. And where did my blender? Sorry, I'm trying to find my blender. Okay, so now that I got that rubbed down, now I decided I wanted to just do a little bit of paper tearing, and I might do another scooch down here in the bottom section to kind of fill it in. Yeah, I'll have to do some editing. I'm not doing too bad, you know. Part of this will be edited out. I'm going to try to keep it around 25-30 minutes or so, because it's nice to talk, you know. I like videos where you get to hang out a little more and chat a little bit, and I know I don't do a lot of that because, one, of course, like many of us, cannot stand the sound of my voice and on film and in audio, but, you know, kind of just get over it, you know, no big deal. So I'm going to add some tape to this, but I do want to try to do that, and I figured if I'm going to talk, let's make it a little more interesting, you know, and a little more informative, because, you know, sure, we could talk about our crafting stuff all day long, but sometimes it's fun to have a little chat about other stuff, you know, other places or other information that you didn't know. Because you get those periods where there's not really anything new to say when you're doing the crafting anyway. Like putting that down, you know, I don't need to talk about rubbing it down the entire time that I'm doing it. So I thought, hey, let's have some fun crafty chats and throw a little bit of trivia in there. So I would like to get to a point where it's a lot more consistent maybe in doing this, but that's not going to be just yet. So if you are enjoying the side of trivia, you know, leave me comments down below, and you know, I can start researching more topics of discussion about the Great Lakes. And, you know, a lot of it, of course, will be heavily on the Michigan itself because of this is where I live. But, you know, the Great Lakes is basically one huge unit that has clearly an unknown tremendous history. And I will not keep carping on having gotten gypped out of the tropical. But I do still feel that way. Not today. Not today. It kind of feels like it. It's 80. It's going to be like 85 to 88, and it's extremely muggy because, of course, storms are going to be rolling in. So that'll be fun. I just wanted to do this now before they came in, just in case I had the misfortune of losing power. So yeah, because I can't film, obviously. Even if we get the generator up, I don't want to pull too much off the generator and have something go wrong with that. We need the refrigerator to run, people. So anyway, so yeah, that's another little segue. So I'm just adding tape here to this background piece now that I remembered to edge it, because that is one thing that it's just cracked myself up with, and I don't know how many of you maybe suffer the same thing. I get an idea of something I want to do, and then when I get it prepped, like doing something like this, then I forget to come in and do the edging. And as I feel we all pretty well know, once you lay down a piece of paper like this, it's pretty hard to go back in and do the edging at that point. So I feel pretty good about it that I remembered to do it today. It's a happy day. All right, so let me put this down. And if you have any other facts about Michigan related to today's topic, put the comments down. And so, you know, we can share that with the other people, you know, especially people around the world that don't live in this area or have never visited it. Could be interesting. Could be very interesting. Ooh, I like that a lot. Okay. Let me go back to the tape. Where did I put my tape? Right in front of me, right? Right. It looks like I opted for a little bit more of a feminine grungy look, given that I used the little dressmaker's form, and it looks like a woman's boot down there, the ring and all of that. So we're gonna have fun with it, and we're gonna go with it. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the little trivia chatting to go with it. And again, this will be edited down a bit, so you know, I think I need to keep that flush in the corner because it's lined up to the corner there, so I just want to make sure that matches. And yeah. Okay. I figured that little blob of glue on the bottom isn't going to do too much damage. And it added actually a little bit of extra grunge. Because as we know, the oxide inks are water-based. They are water reactive and glue is wet. So there you go. We get a little bit of smearage, but it works with it. So I feel good. I feel good about it. All right, so the elements I want to do. Let's see. I'm thinking let me place my sentiment first. So I'm going to grab one of, again, my friend's sentiments here. I was so happy to have them. I cannot tell you. Sometimes it's so nice when you have a ready-made sentiment, and then plus it's also included with all that fun bling of the foiling. We like it. So what is the sentiment I would like today? Be energetic. That's where coffee comes in. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that is true, but that is not the sentiment that I'm going for today. That could be a contender. That could be a contender. Let's see what we got. Be calm. Be proud. Be you. Oh, that could be. Oh, I think I'm going to use them both, actually. Yes, I like it. Be brave, be you. I like that a lot. I'll probably adjust the placement, but I just wanted to spread it out a little bit to kind of go along with the vibe I got going on here in the card. So I'm going to ink those up. And I think I'm gonna put this little guy there. And I'm thinking the next topic of conversation, and again, if you're interested, if you think this is a good idea, put a comment down below and let me know. But it has also been amazing learning about all the shipwrecks. I mean, that may be more commonly known around the world, but there's still a lot of stuff I never realized I didn't know. So I think that's one of the next ones. Like, I'll pick a shipwreck, and I'm thinking I might start with the Edmund Fitzgerald, because recently we lost Gordon Lightfoot, sadly. That is one of his more well-known songs, is of course the song about the Edmund Fitzgerald. I want to say I was about 4 or 5 when that ship went down that year. I'd have to look at the date to be sure. I don't have it in front of me, but I think I want to start with that one. But there's a ton of really nice shipwreck museums throughout Michigan, and one of the bigger ones that I know of, and there could be more, is up in Alpena. It's near Thunder Bay, and I think Noah helped them set it up, but it's this huge shipwreck museum up there, and you can leave a donation. They have a gift shop and stuff like that, but as of this time, or at least the last time I was there, you don't have to pay to go in. And they made the back end of a schooner ship, and they built it in such a way that when you walk up the stairs to get to the upper deck, it's the bow, whatever is the back. No, that's the middle of the ship, I think. The back end where you have the rudder and all of that, that's the end that they built. And when you walk up the stairs to go up to the upper deck, it feels like you're moving. So that was also really interesting. And they have a whole bunch of replicas of the ships and little video stations you can watch about each ship. There's a huge artifact room. There could be a couple. Again, it's been a while since I've been there, but they have all kinds of the salvage and of the wrecks that they've been able to reclaim and put it in there. And I mean, there's drawers of things that they found, and it's again an amazing history that, you know, I never thought about much growing up, but now there's just this endless supply of information that you can get. So I think that will be the next topic of conversation, and then I'll get back and wrap this up so I'm not taking too long, because again, some of this will be cut out. But anyway, so I put down my sentiments. I did do the edging. I feel pretty sure you guys saw me doing that on the camera. So now I'm just going to kind of wrap it up with some of the elements and add a few gemstones, and I think we are good. So if you're interested in the shipwrecks, let me know. That's what I was thinking about dipping into next. And then, yeah, we can go from there. You know, when I start planning out the next video that I want to do. Let's see, that's kind of a chunky monkey. I think I might just stick. Maybe I could tuck that behind. Let me see. I don't mind if it overlaps a little bit, but I don't want to completely cover, because I can always trim off the excess, I suppose. And then I can put a little bling bling. Let me see. Let me see how that looks. I use the monitor sometimes to get an overview look to see how does it look. So I think I need to trim these. I think that's what's bugging me. Yeah, let me do that. I'm going to get my little trimmer back up here. So if you've enjoyed this, I'm really glad. And, you know, it's always fun hanging out with you guys. And this is just really such an awesome community. I know I say this a fair bit, but it still remains true. It is absolutely a riot hanging out with you. And if you guys are having fun learning about Michigan trivia, then that's a little bonus. Okay, I'm liking that a lot better. Okay, I think that was too chunky for me in terms of width. I'll probably end up having to trim off some of the excess at the bottom. Yeah, okay. I used crackle paste, as you can see. Let me see if I can hold it up so you can kind of see that crackly goodness down there, to coin a small phrase from Tim Holtz. He is so freaking funny. Don't know him. I'm not a sponsor, but he is hilarious. Yeah. So when I reference him, it's just in general terms. I'm definitely not going to be acting like, oh, I know Tim, you know, because I don't. It would be fun to, no doubt about that. Okay. All right, that can be saved. What I did was I had done some mixed media projects, and then I cut them all down into small, like, tag-like pieces to use for other stuff. So I've really been enjoying doing that. It is extremely satisfying, you know, when you make it and then chop it down and then you can repurpose it. So that is what I did. And I think before I forget, I'm going to get the vintage photo back and do the edges. And then I believe I have some twine somewhere nearby on my right side. I'm going to grab and make little embellishments for the tags. Just a little something, because why not? Okay. I might have to trim this again. I'm not entirely sure, but just on the chance that I don't have to, I'm going to edge up all the sides. So, yeah, because why not? Although I should be a little more careful. I don't want to flick up too much of that crackle paste. All right, where's that twine? It was here. It was here. Where did I stash it? Yep, there it is. It's not in the right spot, by the way, but that's okay. That's what the cleaning process is going to take care of. And I have already removed a lot of storage units that will cut down on my temptation to buy more than I have space for. So I'm going to cut off a length. If I could use my scissors properly, I will. Try not to make the little things too big. So I'm going to put this guy in here first. Yeah, I think I go backwards. I think that's how I do it. And once I get everything laid down and in place, I'll put a little dab of glue under there just to kind of keep it from unfurling, as it were. Okay, let me get another hunk of the, I believe it's jute is what I am using, if you are interested in the technical term. I think either one works. Okay, we'll go with this one. And I still have kept the monitor within eyesight so I can try to keep track and making sure that I am on camera. No, other way. Wait a minute, how did I do that? Yeah, I did go this way, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, it's easy. I'm easily confused sometimes with what I'm doing. You know, if I paid a little closer attention to the details sometimes, it probably wouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we got that. I'll probably trim that down a little bit. All right, let's go back and try our placement. Okay, I want to tuck the little guy under there. Scooch him just a little bit. I think I like it. Let me move my hands. Yeah, I like it. Okay. All right, this one I'm going to lay completely flat. And I'm going to glue that one down first. And I think if I add, well, maybe on both. Let me see. All right, sorry, I was having a little bit of trouble getting some of that glue out. Okay, so let me scooch that down, and I'm going to take it right up to the edge here. And hold that down for just a second. Because you know when the paper starts to curl up, especially if it's a heavier cardstock sometimes, it makes it harder for it to sit. And then it just starts peeling up. So yeah, we're going to avoid that. So I'm putting that one down first. I really like the effect where you only put foam dots on certain parts of it to give a little bit of a lift, and then they glue the rest of it down. I think that's what I'm going to do here, so that way the whole thing isn't popped up, just that little bit of lift up here where it's crossing over the bottom tag. So let me do that. Yeah, I'm going to have to trim these or they're going to be dangling off. I'll definitely need to get that glue in there. Okay, yeah, let me do that. Let me see if I can remember where to place the foam squares. All right, where did I put them? Ooh, that is the magical question. You know what? Good thing I have some foam tape right here. I was looking for the actual squares, but I think this will do. I think I'll be able to get away with it. Yeah, that should be good. I tried to remember to save the little pieces when I'm cutting them down to fit in different spots. Let me do this one. But I'm not always good about it. I think what I'll do is just cut this in half and run it down on the side. I don't need too much foam here, but I think I'm going to stop right about there. And I just stick the bits right back on the roll, because why not? Yeah, this is good, because while I've been sitting here kind of running in the background is thoughts about what I need to do next, and you know, what I need to tackle and where I want to put stuff has sort of been on the background noise. Okay, yep, that's good. I like that. I'll cheat it just a bit so there's not quite that much coverage on that sentiment, the be brave. Alrighty, let's stick her down. Doing pretty good. I'm at 15 minutes right now, but again, a lot of this is going to be, the bits will be edited out. So just a little bit of glue. In case I've lost some of the stickiness on here. And then the rest will go with the glitter glue, the art glitter glue. Alright, so let me lay that down. And the good thing about the wet glue is it gives a little bit of that wiggle room before you press down so you can adjust the spot. So I like using a combination of tapes and glue, wet glue, for this reason. And I'm just going to hold that down for a second. And we're good. Because it's got that weird thing at the top. I don't know if I could really get anything that would cover that good to kind of hold it in place, but I'll just hold on to that for a second. And yeah, let me get the glue. I need to hold those in place because I'm afraid if I go to trim the tops of that, it's gonna pull out if it's not glued. So all right, let's see if we can get some glue action here. And I think actually the smaller bottle will be easier to keep on the desk. Less stuff I have to knock around. And I'm, you know, isn't that half of crafting? Trying not to knock stuff off your desk. All right, let's see if I can pull on these a little bit simultaneously to tighten them with that glue. It dries clear, thankfully, so if you've never used the art glitter glue before, just a good tip on that. If you ever try to, if you pick up some, it does dry clear. So, all right, sorry, I'm just scooching my chair a little bit, readjusting. So I'm gonna give that a second to dry completely, and I'm gonna come in then and I'm going to put down some gemstones. Yeah, I still find that quite hilarious. The head of the pin popped off. I'm like, that is not very helpful. And I like these darker gemstones, so I'm gonna use a few of those because I love them. You know, like the puffy flowers and the gemstones, I use them a lot. I use them without shame or reservation. So that is something you will probably see in a lot of my videos, you know, and every now and then the aesthetic changes, but that is a-okay. We are still clear to do what we love to do. And we enjoy that quite a lot. I think I'm gonna go for the 5 and follow. No, that's kind of a weird spot. Let me not do that. I think here looks good. That looks good. And here. I think, you know, we get an aesthetic we like, and we do that for a while, and then we find another one, and then we do that. And that is the joy of mixing things up. So I'm just gonna pop these on here. And then I'm thinking the glue should be set enough I can safely trim off the excess at the top of the card of that jute twine or whatever you call it. Let me put these away before I lose them, and I think we are almost complete. Okay, alright, let me get those extra bits out of the way. Do a quick little tidy up. And oh wait, I need those. Yeah, let's not move away what we need. That'd probably be a good idea. Alright, so I did the... Is that sticking? Did that stick? Let's see, maybe a little bit more glue. Yeah, let me get a little bit more glue on this corner. I don't think I put enough on this side. Alright. Just want to make sure we got good, you know, everything is buttoned down as much as possible. Hopefully, I don't think I accidentally scooched any of the little gemstones. My current favorite are the clear water droplet looking gemstones, and I like the half pearl looking gemstones. This is one of the newer ones. It has almost like a holographic sheen to the top, and the base I think is like a dark blue in color, but I love it. It's either black or blue, I can't quite tell, but love them. Just to add that little bit of something something. So, you know, I had some random tags that I made out of some mixed media projects. I had my friends this was probably my favorite page, which of course, you know, it's hard to pick a favorite in her stuff, but if I had to pick one that was my favorite, this paper out of her collection was my favorite because I like the versatility. You could go so many different directions. I could have made this so much more floral, and it's also absolutely fantastic for doing the grunge vibe. So this has been very fun. I wanted to use this for a while, and so I figured while I was doing the trivia thing, I could just take advantage and use the paper that I've been wanting to use. And then I've had the rub-ons for ages, so I wanted to use that. And then I have her, my friend Dawn's sentiments that have the foiling on it. So like I said, all the information to what I was chatting about in terms of the trivia, and if you're interested in any of the stuff that you've seen from Dawn, please go check her out, and it'll be in the links. And any feedback, any thoughts on future conversations, how you're feeling about having a video about the Edmund Fitzgerald to start dipping into the vast history of shipwrecks on the lakes, leave me a comment below. And in the meantime, all the usual stuff like share, subscribe, that YouTube enjoys for us to say and encourage you to do. And on that note, I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me. Take care, stay safe, and I will definitely be seeing you in the next video.